You're listening to a Galactic Network podcast. For more, go to gncast.com.
We are the ElseNerds.
Hello and welcome to ElseNerds, a production of Galactic Network. I'm Gregor Sprague, and joining me is alternative Corey, Shawn Burns, and we have joined with us the only other person on the panel right now who gets that joke, Darryl Johnston. Darryl, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, not bad. Where's Corey?
Corey, I believe he said he had a headache from work and is now sleeping.
Big girl's blouse. Okay, fair enough. Hey, I don't mind. I like Shawn. You know, he likes the Batman. He's all right by me.
Absolutely.
But... yeah. So, real quick before we jump into the backwards show that we're doing here today, for info on this show, you can go, including show notes and subscription links. You can go to ElseNerds.com, and for other Galactic Network programs, including Who Knew and Review, one hosted by a very fine gentleman named Darryl Johnston. You can go to gncasts.com. And on ElseNerds, we tend to shoot our mouths off without thinking, so we will both spoil things and swear liberally. Also, before we get going, it's time for another plug of people who have partnered with us at the $3 level on Patreon. We had Growly Bear last week, and he's continued to do so. So, hey, another free plug for you there, sir. But joining him is Brian Jensen. Well, thank you, Brian. We love you. You are awesome.
Brian, I forgot to mention you on this week's Who Knew and Review, but I think I covered for it really well. Yeah. The next episode of Who Knew and Review, will be in your honor, sir.
Be all about you. So, with all that being said, let's get right to this. And like I said, we are going to do this a little bit backwards because we're doing the ElseWords first, because I'm a Doctor Who fan. I'm a big British TV shows fan, which is fun and difficult when you live here in America, especially in the middle of America with being living in the mitten. But one of the big shows, that's worldwide is Doctor Who. And after I've been holding off, I haven't talked about it at all since the premiere. So I figure, what better way to do this than as they say over in England, the series finale of the show, and talk about it. So this is the next to last episode for both Stephen Moffat and Peter Capaldi. So Darryl, as someone who's been reviewing this whole week, or this whole, for a podcast, what's your take on this as a series? For the Series 10.
Series 10 has been Stephen Moffat actually at his best. I don't want to bash Moffat. Everyone bashes Moffat, but he had a dip. I mean, season 9 was okay, but it was fatigued. And everyone was going, well, this is last series. Can he do it? Can the writer of Sherlock actually put any of that magic in? And then he comes, he stands up to bat, and he knocks it out of the bloody park. I can't think of a bad one from series 10. There was one which it dipped a bit, but bloody hell, every directing trick was thrown at it. It was cinematic. It was big. It was fancy. It had storylines that actually made sense.
Yeah.
And then it finished the last scene of Saturday's show, and it finished with a, oh my God! That is how I want Doctor Who written. I want it written consistently like that. It was. If you're a Doctor Who fan, you're going to love it anyway. If you're not a Doctor Who fan, that's the series to get you interested in Doctor Who.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing here, because we have, and I've heard this a lot from people, that usually when there's a new Doctor, like I came in with series 5. I came in, and for the American viewers, substitute series for season. I say this whenever I talk about a British show. I instinctually will call them series because that's how the Brits address the period of shows that make a box set later on. But this is like you said, one of the first ones where you can recommend the ending of a Doctor to jump in on, because usually it's easy, Peter Capaldi came in on series 8, I believe it was, and you're like, oh yeah, this is an easy one, because you don't need all the stuff with Matt Smith, all the stuff with David Tennant, or anyone before. It will help you later on, so you start here, then go back, if you like it. But this is definitely a start here. I mean, who is he? He's a guy who protects the Earth, who protects all that he can. That's who this guy is. Now, shut up and watch.
Yeah. I mean, that is actually, because it doesn't matter with Doctor Who where you jump in and start watching. It's a show about time travel, about an eternal man, a man that continually grows and changes. So if you watch one of Series 10 and go, wow, that was fantastic, there's nothing to stop you actually jumping back to Classic Who to see how it all began, to see how the stories and everything was laid out in his life. And yeah, they put Easter eggs, they put little things into to reference it, but that's not the important bit. It's the stories which are the important bit. But again, yeah, I totally agree. You jump in and out, and you should be able to at least have a rough idea of, well, it's a dude in a blue box who comes around and saves the day without having to shoot anyone.
Yeah. And I mean, and like you were saying with the dip, like, I definitely still think that that it only got better as we started. So you start with the last year's Christmas special, The Return of Dr. Mysterio, and which was a good Christmas episode. I really enjoyed that Christmas episode. And then it's like you get the pilot, you get what's the next one? Smile, Thin Ice, Knock Knock, all the way to the Doctor's Fall this past Sunday or Saturday. And it's like, oh, how? Why? It makes me a little bit upset for the moments where it got a little stale in series 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, where you're like, oh, well, this is the episode where it happened, and oh, yep, the Stephen Moffat episode. So that's where we started to lose Corey, because Corey had watched before, I believe, and it was like when it was the Moffat heavy episodes, and it wasn't Moffat doing this. It was almost like Moffat was more focused on Sherlock over there with Mark Gatiss, and then this was sort of like, oh yeah, that's right, I got this other job, so I got this idea for a story. But we didn't get that with this. I mean, this has been from start to finish just great. There was bloody brilliant. I think
there was one episode which I rated 3 out of 5, and that was being nitpicky, because overall the series was as close to a 5-star series as you can get. I'm trying to remember which one it was.
From this
series, I think it actually was the stupid Romans one. I mean, I didn't rate that.
Was that the Eaters of Light?
Yeah, and it predominantly it's a great episode. It's based on an event which they think happened. The Ninth Legion did go missing, but it's, I don't know, I think it was the monster design. It just didn't. It just looked forced.
Yeah,
they forced this monster, and it's just like, they could have done that better. But it's nitpicking. It's like, trying to work out the worst episode of a run, which was predominantly fantastic. I mean, Peter Capaldi, I just want to sit in a pub and drink with him. It's just his voice, the way he holds himself, the way he talks, yeah, the sort of mad, far away, distant look in his eyes, but that intensity is just, yeah, really.
So how did you feel about what episode was it? About the return of John Sim?
I was looking forward to that. I mean, it's a shame in nowadays that things get spoiled, that spoilers leak out, and I shouldn't, because I'm part of that network.
By the way, please subscribe to Who Knew and Review on iTunes.
I could do with the subscriptions. But I'm part of that network, so I can't complain. But it would have been nice to have tried to have kept that one under wraps.
Yeah.
However, knowing he was going to be there, and then the episode World Enough and Time, absolutely fantastic. I mean, I knew straight away who he was in that episode. You know, I knew he was the dude in the hospital, and that actually didn't lessen it anymore, because that reminded me very much of an old master, Delgado. Even little bits like, you know, John Sim's goatee beard and things like that. He was less manic than when we last saw him. You know, he'd been mended by there was a throwaway line. He'd been fixed by the Time Lords. But just seeing him on screen again as the Master was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely. Because again, like I've shared the other times that I've talked about Doctor Who, I came in with Matt Smith, and then I went back and watched the Eccleston and Tennant stuff, and loved what I had seen. Especially with Johnston, because it was such a the way I've appreciated the Master and the Doctor relationship is it's this dichotomy, it's this yin and yang, where one's good, one's evil, one's more collected, the other one's more manic, and these polar opposites that come together to create this like whole person in a way. And to see this coming back, I had caught that. I'm like, wait, something seems different here. But then, with you mentioning that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it is. It's, he's not as manic. He's still like, no, we will be, and again, spoilers for people who have not seen, World Enough in Time or The Doctor Falls. You get to this where he's realizes, okay, I become Missy and all that. And do I like that?
Well,
sort of deal.
Well, eventually he becomes Missy, but does he become Missy? Right. There's a scene in The Doctor Falls, and it's the scene where all three of them are on scene, chewing the scenery. I mean, if you watch that scene where they're in the forest, they're all pointing various devices at the lift, and then they do away with the Cyberman. The Doctor clears off back to the farm, and you got Missy and the Master. It's implied that Missy is the next incarnation of the Master, but also she's got this weird memory problem where she doesn't remember being the Master.
Okay.
Yet, in the 50th Doctor episode and quite a few of the other ones, time catches up and they do remember pretty instantly. But the Master and Missy don't. Yeah. Which is convenient writing, is it? Or is the reason because there's an incarnation after John Sim's Master? We don't know how many regenerations John Sim's Master got.
Yeah.
We know the Time Lords fixed him. If the Time Lords fixed him, then that should be a new regeneration cycle. So there could be potentially another 11 Masters to come before we get to Missy. And I mean, a lot of the Doctor Who community has picked up on that. You don't see Johnston regenerate,
Yeah.
and you don't see Mrs. Body. So
No, yeah. Stephen Moffat in this, in all honesty, has done something great that, one, makes me super anxious for the Christmas special this year. I didn't cry because I had mentioned like, oh, because you had put in our Slack chat like, hey, did you cry during? I'm like, no, I did get emotional. I'm like, this is great storytelling, but I did not shed a tear. But that's also could be related to, you know, funerals and stuff that have happened recently with, you know, real life stuff. So, you know, I already used all the emotions.
The only time I got emotional is in the barn, and it's the slow build up and realization that Bill isn't Bill. And you sort of suspected what was coming anyway. But bloody hell, Pearl Mackie acting, I mean, just, yeah, you know when Karen Gillan left Doctor Who and all of a sudden she became Nebula, and you know, if Pearl Mackie doesn't end up Hollywood A-list, then there is something wrong, because if she can act like that in a bloody British TV show, then what can she do when you stick her on a big screen? That whole scene, that whole dynamic, it was poignant, it was beautiful, and it was quite emotional. You know, I mean, for me, Grant, you know, waking up as a Cyberman wouldn't be too bad. But you know, the body's falling to bits. You know, that'd be all right. But bloody hell, I mean, I didn't outright have a weepy. I didn't need a box of Kleenex next to me. But yeah, I did have a little tear in the eye at at that. And I mean, the series finale wasn't as well written as World Enough and Time. World Enough and Time set the scene. It was dark. It was creepy. It drew you in. It closed your world off around you and suffocated you in that claustrophobic feeling.
Yeah.
The Doctor Falls was a series of set pieces. It was quite traditional in that respect as to how it was thrown together. That didn't lessen any of it for me, because you had these huge set pieces. You had the Bill realization that she was a Cyberman. Incidentally, did you notice that as a Cyberman she grew about 1.5 feet? I mean, so, you know, if you're a short ass like me, then you know,
I can finally reach the top shelf.
Yeah, cyber conversion doesn't sound too bad. But having the scenes where we got to see John Sim, Michelle Gomez, and Peter Capaldi all together, just it's everything someone from a Doctor Who fan wants.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were so many little throwaway lines which were just added sprinkles. The throwaway line by John Sim of you know, is the future all girls? You know, and Peter Capaldi's, well, I certainly hope so. And straight away, you watch all the Twitter feeds, all the forums, and all of a sudden everyone's going, "Oh, does this mean we're going to get a female Doctor?" And it's just like, no, it doesn't. But I can understand. I mean, Moffat's a troll of the highest order, and that's what he was in the very, very last episode. That's what he was doing. He was trolling fans left, right, and center, and it was perfect.
Him and Christopher Nolan both do this, because Christopher Nolan did it with The Dark Knight Rises, where it's is Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing Robin? Oh, well, his middle name's Robin. That means he's Robin, right?
Yeah.
Right? No, dumbass. But no, so Stephen Moffat, and I guess this is a Doctor Who thing, but Stephen Moffat did something that is unique, except for the fact that he's doing the next episode. The next episode is written by him, and will be directed by Rachel Talalay. but this is all set up. This is like, leaving the door wide open for Chris Chibnall and his writers to take over. And I love that. I mean, we already know, because we know Capaldi's leaving. We know Moffat's leaving. This left questions like, is Michelle Gomez coming back? Is she gone? Who's going to be the master? Are we going to get a master?
I think it's not going to be another. We're going to be about 3 years until we get another master, I reckon.
Yeah.
I think a villain like the Master, whilst they are absolutely fantastic, whilst it is the Doctor's foil, whilst it is, the opposite. If you overuse the Master, you weaken the character.
Yeah.
So I reckon we're at least 3 years by seeing another Master. But,
so what?
But it wouldn't surprise me, if they filmed a regeneration scene.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah. So what do you think of, or what do you think is going to be Bill's fate? Do you think we're going to, because I thought early on, with the announcement of Capaldi leaving and Stephen Moffat leaving, I'm like, okay, this is great. This is like when between the Eccleston season or series and then the beginning of Tenet, where we had Rose Tyler and she was the bridge. Same thing with Clara Oswald, from Matt Smith to Peter Capaldi. Like Bill is going to be this bridge.
Well, of course, Rose Tyler has been the only companion to properly star in a Christmas show.
Yeah.
All the other companions haven't. Apart from a tiny glimpse of Rory and... Sorry, I better be careful because that's my cat's name as well. Of Rory and Amy. They briefly in the Doctor Who episode. Oh, which one is it? It's the one with the bloody sky sharks. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, it will make me angry if I think about it, because I don't like that episode because of sky sharks. and yet I like Sharknado. I mean, it just makes no sense, Darryl. But so it's understandable why she's not in the Christmas one, and I don't think we're gonna see her again. I really don't. I think she was a one series deal. I think that Moffat wants to hand Doctor Who over, where there is only the main character, and everything else is up to Chris to create. And apparently, Chris has got a 5-year plan, which is kind of exciting. Yeah. I mean, Chris is good at series arcs. You're presumably familiar with Broadchurch.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So excited! Actually, I think that came back here on BBC America, and it is one that I'm like, I need to start watching, because I've watched the first 2 series of Broadchurch. And it is such great storytelling. The way, I mean, seeing it, it made me wish that I'm blanking on the American one that they did. That show did things a little bit like, I don't think Chris Chibnall was involved in that show, in the American version.
Oh, he was. Oh, no, he was, yeah.
It was something like, I think if they had, I think what the problem with that was it was the same show. It was Broadchurch season 1, but with Americans and an American audience. So I think that's what turned me off from that, because I've already seen all this.
Need to if a show is that stand up good, I don't think there's any need to remake it. And I find it a little bit, as it's America understand British people now. We don't need to remake your shows.
No, yeah.
And I find it odd, especially as the age of streaming. I mean, I think personally there should be no borders when it comes to TV. I say tear down the firewalls, tear down the paywalls, and give people the content they want. Because if you get the content you want, and I know we're digressing here, but if you get the content you want, then what is going to happen is you're gonna subscribe, and you're not just gonna subscribe by watching that show. Yeah. Well, I now need to buy all the Funko Pops for that show. I now need to buy all the all the blister packed characters from that show, and I don't see a problem with that. I mean, collecting things from, for instance, American shows has always been big. I remember my Starsky and Hutch car when I was little. We don't have Gran Torinos over in the UK, but as an 8-year-old Darryl, I did. Yeah, and likewise, I mean, you go into any comic book store. When I was over in America, I popped into a comic book store, and again, I got all weepy and teary because the first thing I saw was the biggest 1000 AD I've ever seen, and I live in the bloody country that makes it. And so, tear down the walls, yeah. Stream good quality shows, both ways. Because if you remake something, you sometimes lessen it. That happened with Life on Mars, or I can't remember what is you guys called that in the end, but
I thought it was Life on Mars as well.
It was, because I tapped out after half an episode of the American version, but still will stream the original. Yeah.
Oh, that's the same way I was with the finding a bootleg copy of the IT Crowd. With Richard Iowati, Joel McHale, and I do not know who the female that was on. I think her name was Jessica something.
Apparently, they're going to try it again.
Yeah,
and that'll be the third attempt in America, and it's just like, because Chris O'Dowd and Richard Iowati just watched that one. Because
so it's one of those, like, I look at that, like, there's, as a fan of Skins, Skins was one of the first British TV shows that I got in and binged. And that one was mainly through Netflix too. Or no, not Netflix, I believe through the Channel 4 app. And then they did the American version and where on MTV, and it was like, all right, I see what they're trying to do, but with how it is going from the English with the watershed and over here where it's like, there's not really watershed, it seemed like people sort of lose out on that, because then it's like there's the big hubbub of like, oh my gosh, they're high school students. It's like, well, yeah, but you do realize that your kids very well could be, touching underage boobies and others. I mean, it's their age, so it's, it is what it is. But I mean, you're looking at it as a 20, 30, 40-year-old person, not they're my age.
Yeah.
And like, oh my gosh, kids go to parties. Oh my, I thought they just stayed home all time, sat in their room, twiddling their thumbs or rolling dice or whatever it is that they do.
You see, that is, I suppose, why we're lucky with shows like Doctor Who, because it sets there's a universal constant involved. With other shows, you're right, you've got to break through local legislation.
Yeah.
So, for instance, you're quite right, we've got a watershed in the UK, but the watershed doesn't mean it hits 9 o'clock and then all of a sudden, violence gets ramped up, drug taking gets ramped up, and language that doesn't happen. We don't all of a sudden go, right, well, it's 9 o'clock, dear, time to turn on and see what boobs are on TV. That doesn't happen. It should happen, in my opinion, because who wouldn't watch that? But when it breaks down a barrier like that, because some of your rules and some of our rules are so different, it would be quite. I mean, I'd be keen to watch some of the cuts of American Doctor Who, because I imagine there are certain things which have been cut slightly different. When I was watching Vikings, you seen Vikings?
I've heard of it, and actually, for connection for next week, There is actually a professional wrestler who is in there, Edge. He, the former WWE superstar, he is in plays a character called Flatnose in Vikings.
I watched that on Prime, and I watched that with my mate in America.
Yeah,
and I mean, we want to sync it up, so we're doing that. And we found through chatting that it'd get to like 25 minutes, and all of a sudden I'm watching a different scene. Because it had been recut for the American audience, and I'd be keen to know whether Doctor Who is. I don't think it is, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I know you have your ad breaks because you guys just love selling the merch.
It used to. So as a person who, before he was gainfully employed, he had the VPN service. He would watch Doctor Who with almost essentially on like BBC +1 or something like that, and I'd watch it, and then I'd watch it again, or like nothing else would be on here on Saturday because God knows the networks don't want to play anything on a Saturday, and I would notice, oh, they cut this short. I notice it more with Top Gear than Doctor Who, because they got smart and that Doctor Who fans will fucking riot. It's like, this is different. It's, to use another IT Crowd reference, it's, you just got your package of the kid version of Harry Potter and the adult version. You're now going to read both to see that there are no differences.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know how we segued onto that. Wow, sorry. Didn't mean to.
Because it's ElseNerds and we segue like crazy.
Yeah, I didn't mean to derail that much. Chibnall 5-year plan. That's how we got there. That's right. Yeah. So that's why I don't think we're going to see Bill again. I'd like to see Bill. I said this in my show, but I just don't think we're going to.
Yeah.
But truthfully, come Christmas, who fucking cares? Because we're going to have a multi-Doctor episode, and that's much more important. Oh, spoilers, by the way, if you didn't know that, we've got a multi-Doctor episode. But what a multi-Doctor episode.
It's okay. So this is actually an interesting part here. Do you like the actor who they have playing the first Doctor? Because
Tom Bradley.
Yeah, I believe that's.
I think that's his name.
Yeah. I don't see like David Bradley.
I know it was a Bradley. Yeah, Tom, Dave, Harry, could be anyone.
Because he's been in Game of Thrones. He's been in, I believe he was also, he was in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Even in like the films like Hot Fuzz, The World's End, Captain America: The First Avenger, was in Broadchurch. So worked with Chris Chibnall before. Could you think of anyone else who could play the first Doctor and look like the first Doctor?
Well, he'd already played that role, of course, in Adventures of Time and Space, which was the one of the things for the 50th episode, 50 years of the Doctor. So no, because when he did that, I mean, playing a dead actor must be difficult, because you've got to spend hours watching that person and being that person. But for Adventures in Time and Space, he did it. I mean, he just embodied it. And in this day and age where we can de-age people using software, or we can, I mean, God's sake, we could stick them in a CGI bobble suit, and we could overlay the actor on them. The fact that they've chosen someone that is a damn good approximation. I mean, he's better than Hurdnall was in Five Doctors. He bloody looks like him, and he sounds like him. Now, I am just so looking forward to it. He is the first Doctor. He has become the first Doctor, and not just the first Doctor in his last story. If we're to believe the set where they're at, that is 10th Planet, which is a Mondasian Cyberman story. So it's really fitting that Peter's Doctor, the 12th, is there. It's just Series 10 is all about circles. You probably got that. We started with the pilot, we ended with the pilot. Yeah. But that's where Bill started, that's where Bill finished. She also, the reason that Bill finished with the pilot is because she had a thing for her, and so she leaves the show, she gets the girl. So what better way to end Series 10 than right at the beginning? It's the full.
Oh, we lost Darryl there for a second.
You.
Oh, there we go.
Filming that right now.
All right. Hold on. You're the British bandwidth is kicking our ass here.
Yeah.
That's what he gets for driving on the left side of the information highway.
You mean the right side, right? Or the correct side, right?
No, we drive on the right side, they drive on the left side, and we drive on the correct side. So
how are you gonna get your sword arm out and have a sword fight if you're driving on the bloody right-hand side?
All I know is we have enough sticks for everyone. There's no...
motor vehicular jousting. That's pretty much it.
Am I back in the room now?
Yes, yeah. You're good. I believe we left with your circles. So what better planet than Capaldi's doctor to come to the first, and then they went.
Well, they're now filming the Christmas episode, so we're now getting spoiler pics from on set. I think this is going to be the bit that leads up to saving Gallifrey. We're gonna get the Doctor's eyes over the console, and the first Doctor joining in with the 50th Doctor celebrations and saving Gallifrey. And I think that is how this is my prediction for Christmas. That's how the show is going to end. The show is going to end at the 50th celebration. Yeah, we'll get the regeneration just as he saves Gallifrey, and then it's over to Chris Chibnall to produce the show and get it out for August 2018.
Do we see the new Doctor in the Christmas special?
Well, I think we're going to see him at the end of the Christmas special.
Yeah.
However, if I was the BBC, I'd secretly be filming the next series with a different team right now, and I wouldn't show him. I'd keep that bit of mystery.
Yeah.
I'd show the regeneration. I'd show something starting to happen, like when Tennant turned into Matt Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you pause the regeneration where he's all in his sort of his orangey yellow glow, you can't tell that's Matt Smith. You can tell it's a different actor, but you can't tell it's Matt Smith, and that is what I would do. I mean, we're gonna have to wait a long time for good old Chris Marshall.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's not Chris Marshall, then the internet lies, kids.
I'm now going to be searching because I have not heard of that rumor. The DJ?
No, Chris Marshall. Is Chris Marshall from is it Paradise? If you do that, or My Family. Yeah, or the BT ad.
Okay, sorry, I misspelled Chris. Oh,
strongly rumored. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he can
was in Love Actually. That's the other. That's where I would have known him from.
He can do serious. Yeah. He can do comedy. He's got excellent comedy timing.
Yeah.
And I think that is the next Doctor. It's all gone. It's all gone quiet now on who's going to be the next Doctor.
Yeah, I could honestly see that, just because with Matt Smith, I maybe even David Tennant. I mean, David Tennant, I couldn't tell you, but it was like they were not as well known when they were cast. And
No.
well, Matt Smith, he wasn't as well known when he was cast, but so this, it would almost be, especially for American audiences, this would be, well, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Well, we saw him in that movie with Rick from The Walking Dead and Keira Knightley and all that, and Bilbo Baggins
And Snape.
And oh god, Chiwetel Ejiofor, or whatever he played. So many people going on to other things from that movie. And Rowan Atkinson, he was in that movie. No, I actually, honestly, I like that choice, to be honest. I am not gonna lie at all. Yeah, so we've got links to Colin Firth was also in the movie, I believe, as well. We've got links to the Wikipedia page we will in our show notes, the Wikipedia page for series 10 of Doctor Who, and how to watch it both in America and in the UK, because we are equal opportunity for the two main countries that we facilitate. Sorry, Beat, this is what happens when you're not here. But Darryl, any final things before we wrap up ElseWords?
No, I think I've covered absolutely everything. Normally I write a script when I come on here. I know it might seem I'm unorganized, but I do. And for Who Knew and Review is incredibly scripted.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it'd be 4 hours long and I'd get distracted.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. When I was doing the radio bit for Galactic Radio, it was also heavily scripted. And even the one-man show that I'm working on, which, with how things have been going, could evolve into the revitalization of Pod Save the Queen or something like that. I'd probably lean more towards scripts, because the only other things I've thought of we covered. Like, this is like talking about with the series, like with you start here, at like, okay, my expectations are high, but yet this show has managed it, and it's gone up and up and up as we've gone further and further with it.
Do you know what? I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because coming into a new one, it's high, and you just hope they don't smash it against the rocks early. And you're watching and you're going, well, I've just rated this five TARDISes out of 5. What's the next one going to be? And you're going, well, I can't just keep giving him 5, can I? and I haven't a couple of times. I mean, I rated the finale, just for the way just for the emotional pieces and how it ended. I rated it 6 out of 5, and I argued that what I did is I rated it 5, got on a TARDIS, took it back in time, and added that new TARDIS to 5, making 6. That is how you rate a show.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, it's awesome to think about that. And I mean, I wish it Matt Smith. I wish Stephen Moffat the best with Sherlock, and it sounds like he's also doing he's going to be doing a new series on based on Dracula with Mark Gatiss.
Yes. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's a mashup between Sherlock and Doctor Who, but with classic monsters.
Yeah.
It actually really sounds good. I'm quite excited for that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well, this way, you see, we get to introduce Matt Stein into Stephen Moffat, and slowly we can steer him into the Doctor Who universe.
So what I'm hearing from you is, when this comes out, it's going to be a tag team episode of Pot with me and you.
Absolutely.
Because that's what I was just thinking of. Like, this is because it's a two-way street for me, because it's bringing me into horror, but then it's bringing Matt into Moffat, which would then lead to Doctor Who, which I feel like if Dave's not involved in that, then I feel like he might kill us. And I'm closer than you are.
He's not allowed to anymore. Because he's part of the Commonwealth, he has to do what the Queen tells him.
This is true.
No, I should go. I should do the things of, well, with regards me, obviously WNAR_podcast. I retweet stuff. I don't tweet myself. I just retweet Doctor Who stories that I find interesting. It's mainly things that Rachel Slot tweets. She but buy any of the things that she draws, because she's fantastic. She's been an absolute pot of gold for Doctor Who, and for drawing, especially the 12th Doctor. Her 12th Doctor as a punk is fantastic. But I retweet stuff on WNAR_podcast. My own mental breakdown is at UK Gnome. That's all my views. It's not necessarily networked, although I do sometimes retweet a lot of Galactic Network stuff and bait trolls. Obviously, gncasts.com/TARDIS is how you find my shows. TARDIS@gncasts.com is how you email me. There you go.
There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the masturbator, Darryl Johnston.
I much prefer wanker. Thank you very much.
You can follow him at all those things. Darryl, it's good seeing you.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stay with you for about 10-15 minutes. You know,
all right.
I'll pop myself on mute though, just in case.
Feel free if you want to, mention, chime in on any of these stories. We are going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. This is the news of the week that we found. Sorry, just saw what Growly Bear wrote. Give Darryl a hand. Lubed.
Thanks, Growly.
So we're going to get into the news, and the first bit of news, and for audio listeners, if you are hearing the fireworks, I apologize, but there's literally nothing I can do because I live by a lake, and lakes in Michigan mean fireworks for the 4th of July.
I thought they were for me.
Oh no, they are.
It's all right then.
It's just also the whole America independence. Dave has a very interesting video on this that sums it up pretty nicely. But the first bit of news is the DC animated movies. All 30 of them are coming out as a box set. This is coming out later this year, and if you have already bought all 30, so this is starting with load up quicker. This is all the DC movies that spawned off of Justice League, essentially.
Yeah, it starts with Superman Doomsday, and it's going to go all the way up to the new Batman and Harley Quinn.
Yeah. So and then also includes the where is it? The animated shorts, the Spectre, Green Arrow, Jonah Hex, Catwoman, Superman, or Catwoman and Superman, Shazam: The Return of Black Adam. And the only thing I got to say is this article does not give the price. That's something that I'm very interested in, is how much does this cost? Because, and also, what's it gonna look like? Because I'm seeing, in my head, I'm picturing, like a at least like a backdrop of different, like Metropolis and Gotham City, like a nice panorama with something like that. But I mean, how cool of a box are we going to get here? Because I know one of my friends from work, he's going to be buying this for the box. He's already got all the movies. I think he's even got some of them. Well, he's probably got most of them on DVD. But so he will be upgrading some to Blu-ray. But I myself have two. I've got hold on, let me double check. I've got Teen Titans and Justice League Dark and all that. So it's gonna be one of those so it's a lot less for me, but for the people who have collected all these movies, how much is this gonna set them back?
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any prices out there yet. At least not that I'm able to find right now. So
what would you pay for this? For 30 full-length movies in one set?
That's the thing. I mean, you figure at $5 a movie, you're still getting a really good deal, and that's already $150. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is like $199 or something like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I could see that, and then I mean, and Evan's bringing up, would the box be a Hall of Justice? I could see that. That would look pretty cool. And I could see, honestly, I could see whatever that box looks like, putting it behind me, and then we could just do the meanwhile at the Hall of Justice to segue to the next segment.
Now, what I want to see is the side that you put all the discs in makes the Hall of Justice, but then when you turn it around, you've got the Legion of Doom bubble head coming out of the swamp. That's what I want.
Yeah. And I also wonder, how is this going to kill the sales of Batman and Harley Quinn? Because I mean, would you go out and buy Batman and Harley Quinn, the new movie, which looks amazing? I mean, from watching the Teen Titans, the Judas Contract, and watching that preview that they had, with bringing back Kevin Conroy and getting Melissa Rauch from The Big Bang Theory, Bernadette on The Big Bang Theory, to voice Harley Quinn and do a good job.
Yeah.
Better than, I'm going to say something controversial in my opinion, better than Tara Strong. Not better than Arlene Sorkin, because I don't think you can go better than the original. You can come close, as we've talked about with Doctor Who, but she's really good.
Yeah.
And all that.
Well, here's the thing. I think, people who own a lot of the movies to set down the money on the whole set, I think is probably more likely, because you've got, all that money that you've spent on your DVDs was already spent. That's gone money. It's in the past. People say, okay, I'll plunk this down. But if you go and spend $200 to $300, whatever the cost is, for these 30 movies, to then turn around and pay $15 or $20 for just the one, I don't think it's going to happen very much. So I guess depending on how well this sells, it could impact the Batman and Harley Quinn sales. But
yeah,
I got to wonder. I mean, this is one of those super fan things, I think. Your average fan is not going to go and drop the money for all 30 DVDs at once, I don't think.
Yeah, what I would love to see for this is the Target exclusive, mainly because also I work at Target, which is where I got the Justice League Steelbook. Or not Justice League, Justice League Dark Steelbook. It was a Target exclusive. And actually the Teen Titans, the Judas Contract, that's where they've been. They've been Steelbooks as the exclusive there. And so that would be cool to see our idea of the DVD or the Blu-rays go in to form the Hall of Justice, turn it around to be the Legion of Doom, or even better yet, because they've done this with other movies, the back be an insert where you can take it out, turn it around, and you can choose either one.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Darryl, are you interested in this?
No.
Not enough Batman for you?
It's going to take a lot of real estate. Yeah, that's a lot of discs that you've then got to find a bloody shelf for. And we are in the age of streaming media. What I think is a much better idea is a streaming media pass. Yeah, or a USB key with all the bloody discs on them, so you can whack them in the back of your TV and stream them as you like. But I do like the idea of the Hall of Justice. So why not sell a bloody fantastically made desk toy, which has the streaming pass on it, or a USB key on it, so you can whack it in the back of your TV. And let's do away with bloody DVDs. Yeah, I've got stacks of them under my telly, and I've had enough of them, because my Blu-ray player never gets put on because I have Netflix and I have Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Do a deal with those guys, but
Yeah.
give you a limited edition physical thing that says, "Hey, I'm still a super fan. Look at me. I bought the passes for all the other discs, but I've now bought this where it's all collected together nicely, and I've got this limited edition thing."
Yeah.
So what if it was the because DC's working on that pass thing, or that their Netflix like subscription service. What if it was a year subscription to that service?
Now, I think new services have been and gone because you've got at least two big players, which are global players rather than regional players. We don't get Hulu in the UK. Yeah, why don't really want it because I've got tons of bloody catch-up services to watch. So why not put it on one of the two big ones? Do a tie-in deal with them. That brings more people to your backyard, to your estate. By creating a new service, unless you are Disney and you've got that much of a back catalogue.
Well, they already do. They already do though, because I mean, you look at this. It's with what's rumored. They're gonna have that live action Titans show that was going to be on TNT here in the States. That I think that Greg Berlanti's working on now. The third season of Young Justice is going to be on there. And then you add 30 original movies and all that, to be streamed at any time, plus Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, the first two seasons of Young Justice, and the original Teen Titans before it was Teen Titans Go. That's quite a bit of stuff right there alone.
It is, but that a lot of that is already available on services like Prime. So great, you take that all off Prime, then all of a sudden all the Prime customers are going, well, I've only got Prime because I like watching the streaming movies. Screw you, DC. Yeah, you're not getting another penny out of me. I don't know how much you spend on subscription services, but
more than I should.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the more you introduce a new service, I think you're not making a competitive service for everyone. What you're doing is making niche services, and niche services never make money. And it's got to be all about that.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely.
And with Darryl's point about having the physical object that you then have the key for, whatever, that almost makes a lot of sense for Amazon to be the partner then, because you've already got not only their streaming video, but you also have their infrastructure and capabilities to get physical items out to customers. So, yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I'd go with that one.
Yeah. All right. The next story is, you guys have heard of this Game of Thrones? I believe it's a TV series where, there's a lot of boobies and stuff like that. I think Darryl would like it because of that. Like, there's a lot of boobies and stuff in there.
I've never watched it. No, I'm not. No, don't laugh. I'm serious. It got so hyped over in the UK because you turn it on and bloody Murdoch Sky TV would be like, oh, Game of Thrones, and it's just like when they hammer you like that, I just lose interest because it's just like I can make my own. So I really have never seen Game of Thrones. So you actually, as a side jag here, me and you are very similar. It wouldn't be surprised if we were one and the same. Because I'm like that with movies. If I see and thank God I only got 3 days until Spider-Man Homecoming, because at work they've added the first TV spot for Spider-Man Homecoming. So it's like, and it's only like a half hour. I don't even think it's a half hour loop of stuff that they play on their TVs. And as the cell phone guy, you're back in electronics. So I've seen that first TV spot quite a bit today. As I told one of my friends, if they do this shit with Star Wars, I'm just gonna be like, la 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 la. So about consumer cellular, la, la, la. And stuff like that. But
So Game of Thrones, like the movies, they have that thing. Like if I see, commercials all the time, the only one to sort of buck that has been Dunkirk, but it's also mainly because it's been where it has been the same. It's like, ooh, that looks really good, and he's filming it on, it's Christopher Nolan, and he's filming it on, what is it, 78 millimeter? I think is what he's filming it on, and so I'm like, all right. That's going to be a movie I'm going to be watching and just be like, oh my gosh, it's so good. It's a good movie. But back to the story. The Game of Thrones final season could have all feature-length episodes. So typically, Darryl, to fill you in, the episodes usually run an hour long. And this is HBO, so there's usually a 10 to 15 minutes leeway with certain episodes. Then they started doing with the season finales. They would do longer, closer to a 90 minutes runtime. Actually, I think this past season they did the last two, or out of the last 4 episodes, 2 of them were closer to 90 minutes. One of them being the Battle of the Bastards. But it sounds like, coming from the Con of Thrones panel, all the episodes from 2019's the final season of Game of Thrones could be over an hour long. Now, Shawn, as you watch Game of Thrones, right?
Religiously.
Okay, so as a man who prays to the old gods and the new,
mm-hmm.
What do you think of this? Keeping in mind, we have no books for the book nerds to be like, when it was better in the books. Yeah.
I never did the books, and I'm not like against it or anything like that. It's just I just never got around to that particular set of books. So, and I got my fix off of the TV show. When they first announced that the final season was only going to be 6 episodes, I was kind of like, what the fuck? That's a ripoff. Why am I only getting 6 episodes? Well, now that I'm saying, okay, I'm not really getting 6 episodes, I'm basically getting 6 movies. This is basically, almost a Harry Potter franchise. This is basically 2 seasons of this is basically 2 seasons of Sherlock. Or sorry, 2 series of Sherlock. Yeah. So I mean, as far as from that perspective, where I initially felt like I was being robbed of something, I now feel like, okay, this is kind of cool. It's just going to be condensed a little bit, which could definitely make for some interesting storytelling. It's, one of the things I appreciate about Game of Thrones is over 10 episodes, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of story, but they also take their time with it. A lot of the stuff that they do is kind of a slow burn. If you go back and especially watch the season again with knowledge of what's going to happen, you can see all the little building blocks leading up to what is going to occur. So this is going to be just a little bit different setup for that. I think the story might move a little faster because it's going to be, feature length episodes, or I would imagine are going to be more self-contained as episodes, I would think.
Yeah.
In order to keep your attention for that long. But yeah, I mean, I'm on board with this.
So you were hitting something that I was going to hit on. Typically whenever the show has done in the past, they've had the longer episodes. They've been set in one location. Blackwater, Battle of the Bastards as examples. So from Vanity Fair, their theory is that we could be getting the most latest season of Arrested Development. Now, I'm using this as an extreme because if you look at the Netflix, the first season on Netflix, where it's all original of Arrested Development, it all took place relatively through the same like week or 2 weeks period.
Mm-hmm.
But it was told from different perspectives. So we could, in theory, be getting something like that, so 8 episodes. So, well, this is the Brienne of Tarth episode. This is the Jon Snow episode. This is the Arya Stark episode. This is the this person who still survived episode, and all that all throughout. And then there's a little bit of crossing, of streams crossing there.
Yeah, and you got to think of that final season is when we're going to see the majority of Dany's play for the throne.
Yeah.
Which is all going to take place in and around King's Landing, I would assume. So, yeah, I could definitely see that it's going to be more, focused on one spot rather than jumping all over the place like like a lot of the shows do.
Yeah, and also just so you are aware, this is according from David Chen on Twitter, where this is all coming from a panel over at the Con of Thrones panel Comic-Con thing. He said that the season finale, or Paula Farfield, the sound designer for Game of Thrones, said that the season 7 finale of Game of Thrones will be 82 minutes. Final season, they're considering making each episode feature length. So that is the whole of the source for this story. But yeah, so the final one is, and this is actually a pretty fun one for Darryl to end on, possibly, is that Spider-Man is not going to have spider sense in Homecoming. Now,
sorry,
as
what?
Yes. So this is coming from the director John Watts, and he said that this is one of the mistakes that Sony has used in the past, and that's relying too much on Peter's spider sense. So they're not going to have it. And we've already seen mentions of this in Civil War, because it seemed like, and this is only like looking back at it in hindsight, that the mentioning of the fact that where we got that cool moment in the trailer where Spider-Man's eyes on the costume went in, it was like whoosh, sort of deal. It's because he doesn't have the spider sense. He takes in all this information to where it's like it helps him focus. He's taking in all this light and stuff like that, and that's what gives him a spider sense. I'm using air quotes for the audio listeners. So what do you, Darryl's shocked by this, but what do you guys think about this? About the fact that one of Spider-Man's typical powers, this is one of the cornerstones. You think of Spider-Man, you think spider sense powers is not going to be in the movie.
Do you want to go first, Shawn?
Yeah, to me, see, here's the thing. It's like, when I first heard it, I'm not a big Spider-Man guy. So when I first heard it, I thought, well, it's kind of a weird power. It's kind of, magical. But you're right. I mean, other than the web slinging, that is who Spider-Man is. So basically what you're telling me is Batman's not going to have the Batmobile. Superman's not going to be able to fly. And Green Lantern's not going to have his ring. Spider-Man's not going to have his spider sense. So yeah, it does seem a little bit odd, but I mean, I guess if the storytelling supports it and it's not like a big deal is made of it, it's just something they're not utilizing, I can be okay with that, because it's like you guys were saying, it's when you see a show or a movie that gets batted over and over and over. The Spidey sense is kind of like that too. It is something that he uses all the time. So maybe just him not using it could be very interesting, could lead to a good storytelling perspective of him having to deal with these things in other ways. Like you were saying, Gregor, with the suit, the eyes narrowing, and maybe it's just a different approach to what we're used to. But it does,
yeah,
definitely does seem strange.
Right. I am a massive Spider-Man fan.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man was the first superhero that I was introduced to. I have a tattoo of the.
Are we the same person?
I have a. I don't know. Do you have a tattoo of the Scarlet Spider?
Same arm, different superhero.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's on my Deadpool arm as well. But when Spider-Man gets his powers, one of the first things that kicks in is his spider sense, his sense of knowing that something is wrong He doesn't know why it's wrong. It's not like he's clairvoyant. He's not going, oh, if I walk down this street, I'm going to get mugged. He just knows there's something wrong. It's an intuition. It's a feeling. It's the way his senses are, are all around him, and he takes that in. Without that, he's just a bloke that throws a rope. He's a strong bloke that throws a rope. The spider sense is an integral part of Spider-Man. With regards what we saw in Civil War, that is Stark technology. That is a suit. That is a computer-driven algorithm. You cannot fuck about with Spider-Man and expect people that grew up with Spider-Man to actually appreciate that.
As someone who grew up with Spider-Man, it sort of makes sense, because it then becomes the MacGuffin. It then becomes the thing that, oh, well, I will look at the last Spider-Man movie, Amazing Spider-Man #2, which featured the death of Gwen Stacy. Spoilers. You look at that, the spider sense should have told him about that. The spider sense should have, but you didn't see it. You didn't see him going, oh, wait, something bad's going to happen. What's going on here? Okay, obviously this is going to happen. You don't see that. What you end up seeing, how this fails. And so I look at this as the sort of like the same way I look at the other part of this is that they're not doing the Uncle Ben dying and him getting bit by the spider thing again. Makes perfect sense. I am all for it.
Whilst they don't need to do an origins, because we know the origins of Spider-Man. So we don't need to see Uncle Ben die again. That poor bastard, Uncle Ben. He's been dead so many times in so many films and so many comics.
Although, aren't you a little bit curious, since Aunt May is
fit?
Yeah,
That's a word.
I mentioned this earlier, but I downloaded the official Spider-Man Homecoming app, and in there you can access Peter's phone. And one of the text messages that they added since I put it on yesterday, I was messing with it earlier, was a text conversation between Peter Parker and Tony Stark. It ends with, actually, I'm going to try to open it. But it basically, he goes, Spider-Man goes, hey, so you want to talk? And Tony Stark goes, yeah. Is your aunt around?
But maybe they're trying to do like this is going to be a new Coke classic thing where they're going to take the Spidey senses away for a movie so that they can make a huge deal out of them when they come back in the next movie. So that maybe that's something that they're going to attempt.
Now, if they did that, Shawn, I wouldn't be so bad with that. I wouldn't. The spider sense in the comics, and I know there's a difference between the cinematic universe and the comics, but the spider sense in the comics has never been an exact science anyway. And there are plenty of bad guys who've managed to circumvent the spider sense. But the spider sense itself is an integral part of the character, like communicating with ants is for Ant-Man. Even though, it's just, don't do this to my childhood.
No, I totally get it. Because like I said, to me, it would be the same as if they gave me a new Batman movie, but they said, but at no point in this movie are you going to see the Batmobile. And it's like, no, that's wrong. That has to be in there somewhere, but it's so, I mean, I definitely get where you're coming from with this. I'm just hopefully trying to paint a better face on it, because it is kind of strange that they've taken this aspect away from him.
And I look at this as, this is going to be probably one of the better things to happen for this movie because they have hindsight on their hands. Now,
Well,
now
but Peter Parker doesn't.
But hold on, no, hold on. What I'm talking about is how many Spider-Man movies have we had?
Yeah, too many.
We've had 5 Spider-Man movies, since 2000.
How many good ones have we had?
2.
You're being really generous.
Spider-Man 2.
No, I would say the last run of Spider-Man's, the first one, was more akin to Spider-Man than Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
Okay, I'll give you that, but 2 was good. 2 was really good, and then Amazing Spider-Man #1.
Defoe as Green Goblin, however, we need a Green Goblin movie with Defoe. There we go.
No, yeah. There are with the first 2 Spider-Man movies, Defoe and Alfred Molina, perfect casting.
Yeah.
In there.
Well, it's funny too because last week when Kevin was on and he was talking about Wonder Woman and how in the movie he had to remind himself to breathe during the one fight. That was the first time that ever happened to me, was that fight on the train between Spider-Man and Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. Yeah. And literally get to the end of that and go, oh wait, breathe, Shawn, breathe, So I agree with you there. That was perfect casting for that. They did a great job in that one.
But no, overall, I look at this as the director has an idea for this movie, for this power set. And to do it, I know it's not like just we're gonna piss off the fans by making it where he doesn't have a spider sense. It's more of a that like they thought about it and well, this becomes a little bit of a crutch if you think about it. I mean, and it sort of doesn't make sense where he's just flying around. Whoa, what spider sense? Ow! Like you would think it would come a little bit sooner or something, as opposed to it's right here. I think I'm gonna get punched. I could see it with my hand, but I'm not sure because this could go like that. But my spider sense went off. Sort of deal.
I know what you're getting at, but it's just wrong.
Oh no, trust me. I don't like the fact that they're taking away the spider sense. But I think to say, okay, they're taking away, and then it's oh no, this is so wrong. When they could be giving us something better. They could be giving us, well, not better, but they could be giving us something that is comparable, that is okay, this doesn't suck. Could be a benefit.
Don't get me wrong. It's not a deal breaker because I can't wait for the film because the trailers that have come out and the TV shorts, which we don't get over here, but we still look at them on YouTube. It looks as close to Spider-Man as I'm going as 8-year-old Darryl is going to get. Yeah.
This is what I said before this movie when I was talking with my friends about Spider-Man. And this is also before Batman vs Superman came out, because then they would egg me on, much like we do with Corey, to get me to rant. I would say if you took some of the story from the first 2 and input Andrew Garfield, because Andrew Garfield to me had a better build for a college age Peter Parker, not high school, but college age. Same thing with Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire is yeah, you're in high school and I'm 200 pounds. Well, at the time I think I was, but and I'm a 200-pound jock. Sort of deal.
I think Tom Holland's a perfect fit. The guy's bloody athletic. I mean, backflips, turns, and things like that. That's him.
The fact that he can't keep a secret.
Yeah. The majority of the time, that's him, and that's actually that is one of the things that I think where Spider-Man, this version of Spider-Man Homecoming, is going to win, because it's not going to all of a sudden cut to a stunt guy in an ill-fitting suit. It's a lot of the time it's going to be him doing the wire work, doing the jumps and flips on a green screen. Yeah, it's that is he is going to be Spider-Man. It is going to be good. It's just
Yeah.
Sony, don't piss on my dreams.
Sony, Marvel, you heard him.
But hang on. I just want to just dial back a bit. Yeah, you mentioned Batman versus Superman. He was almost disparaging there. I mean, that was a perfect film, no?
It had Batman in it, so it was perfect for me.
Are you? Is there a British term of perfect that I do not my American ears are misunderstanding?
I'm only fucking with you.
Oh, I know, but still, I'm like, wait, is there a British? Because when the ultimate, this is what I always say to people like that, like, oh yeah, it's so good. I'm like, yeah, when the Ultimate Edition is the better film because it outlines so much bullshit that came in the theatrical release, your movie shit.
You see that's it. We were lucky that Batman v Superman set the bar so low. Yeah, because anything that can come in over that, and when someone turns around and says, "Oh, the thing is, it was a little bit shit, wasn't it?" And you'll be able to go, "Well, actually, it wasn't Batman versus Superman," and all of a sudden, whatever shit superhero film you've just watched is elevated in status. Yeah.
No, actually, you might be describing why I like Suicide Squad so much. Is because of the fact that it wasn't Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, look, Suicide Squad's a whole hour and a half of problems.
Yeah, but they were at least fun problems.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See here, and even to compare, and we're off track on this a little bit, but whatever. It's the ElseNerds. We're always off track. Darryl's an extra 20 minutes, almost a half hour over what he said he would be.
Yeah.
But Suicide Squad with their extended edition, the stuff that they had in there added some stuff to Harley Quinn, but it wasn't like it was stuff that was needed in the story. It was extra little things like, oh, we see that this is to use comic terms, a more New 52 style of Harley Quinn where she's crazy, but the psychiatrist is still there. Where, there's the scene where they're walking down and she's psychoanalyzing the whole team. She's sitting there going, oh, so yeah, just, blah, 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 psychoanalyst terms and all that. And throughout that scene. Now you take that out, that doesn't subtract anything from the movie, but it doesn't, it's not like you're now, oh, we just lost this whole thing and the movie's horrible at the same time.
Well, you never know, maybe Sony will treat us and we'll have a few lines to explain the missing spider sense,
something like that. All right, well, that is going to do it for the news, and we will be right back for the views. And we are back, and it is time for the ElseViews. This is the part of the show where we talk about a movie, show, game, thing that is on our mind that we want to go a little bit more in depth on. Shawn, being Shawn, he's brought music.
Yes. Love my music. One of my favorite top 3 bands of all time just released their first studio album in, I want to say 17. That can't be right. In quite a few years. Let me see here. Since 2003, so in 14 years, their first studio album, and that is the rock band Styx. They have released the new album. Still 2 of the very original members, Tommy Shaw and James Young, still with the band. New drummer, Todd Suckerman, not real new. He's been around for at least 15, 16 years. But he replaced the original drummer who passed away. Lawrence Gowan took the place of Dennis DeYoung, and bass player Ricky Phillips has taken the place of the original bass player Chuck Panazzo, who still tours with the band, still played on this album, but not full-time bass. He is HIV positive and has a lot of trouble with fatigue and things like that. So when you go to see them on tour, he'll come out for 2 or 3 songs, and that's about the extent of what he does on stage with them now. But their new album is called The Mission, and it's a concept album. It tells a story of the first manned mission to Mars in the year 2033. And this album is a real return to form for them. This album is much more of the classic 70s, early 80s Styx style that you might be used to than their last couple albums that they did put out. Cyclorama, Big Bang Theory, and just lost it. But anyway, they had 3 albums that came out since Dennis DeYoung left the band, and those albums were definitely different, and this is actually much more along the style of what you would have gotten out of Paradise Theater, Pieces of 8, and Crystal Ball, things like that. So definitely a return to form for them. The first song on the album, there's a brief prelude, and then it goes into a song called Gone, 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 which has quickly become one of my favorite Styx albums since this, or Styx songs rather, since this came out 2 weeks ago. I can't get enough of this song. They did a really great job on it. And these guys tour mercilessly. They are always on the road. And right now they're touring with Don Felder from the Eagles and REO Speedwagon for the summer, and they are just so much fun to see in concert. I think I've seen them 8 times now, second only to the number of times I've seen Kansas in concert. But yeah, if you're a classic rock fan, if you're a little bit of prog rock mixed in there, but if you're a classic rock fan, you're a fan of the arena rock of, Journey, Boston, that sort of thing. This album is going to be right in your wheelhouse, and shows that even at, all these guys are in their 60s and they're still out there touring religiously and kicking ass and taking names musically. And it's a really tight album from start to finish. There's not, it doesn't really go off the rails at all. Unlike us, but they really stick to their musical guns, and really it's a fantastic album. So if you're into classic rock, if you like that sort of thing, I would definitely say check out The Mission by Styx. It'll be worth your time. But it's a short album. 43 minutes is all it is, but it tells a really cool story, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice. I've got nothing to add to that, because I just I'm not, like, my musical tastes are not that I like Styx, don't get me wrong, but it's not like that I've kept on up with them. But yeah, that's nice. It's really nice to hear.
Yeah. And the one thing too that I want to add is, if you do go to listen to this, use headphones, because they do a ton of stuff with the different channels. And so you're really hearing things coming from the left, coming from the right. Tommy Shawn, in an interview with UltimateClassicRock.com, said, he remembers the kinds of albums like Alan Parsons Project and Pink Floyd and Jethro Tull, where you'd go home and you'd smoke a little weed, you put your headphones on, and you'd sit and just chill out to that sort of thing. And those are that's the kind of album this is. It's he said those were a trip, and that's what he wanted this album to be, was a trip. It's a musical journey the whole way through, and it came out really cool.
Nice. Darryl, is there anything you want to share with us?
Recently, the only thing I've really been watching is Netflix, and they've just put the first 2 series of the Iron Man cartoon. The one with young Tony Stark. I've sort of been getting really into that.
Is that Iron Man Armored Avenger or Armored Avenger?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Now, I didn't think I would, because as you know, I don't like them dicking around with characters. But having Tony Stark as a college student, inherited his dad's wealth and genius level IQ, it actually really works. It is a fantastic reinvention of the character, and it's actually one which I wouldn't be surprised if the MCU picks up on, especially as Downey Jr. in the MCU has said, look, he hasn't really got long left because he's getting on a bit. The animation is. It's really good. The story arc in the first series is what you'd expect. If you're an Iron Man fan, then it's well worth the watch. It's just been really, really enjoyable. I started watching it with my kids, but then of an evening because we're through the summer months, I've been putting on 2 or 3 episodes a night on my own. I'd like to see more cartoon reinventions of superheroes, and I actually think, as I was going back to Homecoming, if they'd done that with maybe Spider-Man, then you could get away with rewriting the character slightly and making it more appealing to kids and big kids alike. But yeah, I'd certainly recommend it. I'd certainly, there needs to be more cartoon content like that on streaming services like Netflix, but that's 2 series. That's a couple of discs that I don't need to buy now. Thank you very much, Ian Netflix.
No, yeah. So with this, I will give you some background on this as being over on this side of the pond. This was originally out on Nicktoons, so Nickelodeon's like 4th tier show or 4th tier network. It was the same network that had the Wolverine and the X-Men show, and I think there was another one. This was obviously before the Disney, just before the Disney acquisition of Marvel Comics. And I remember watching the show and enjoying it as well. But I was like, if it came out 2008, so I was 19 when this came out. I know I just made you feel old, and I apologize. But it was, I will actually piggyback off that and give more recommendations. The Disney XD stuff that they're doing right now. So they're just wrapping up with Ultimate Spider-Man. But then the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, the Avengers Assemble, I believe it's Avengers Assemble.
Yeah, we get that on a Saturday show over here, Avengers Assemble, and I did plan that. My kids will watch it with me, but I record it for me.
Yeah, no, it's that, like, some of those, because they're telling stories, and this is what I loved about growing up. And again, I apologize for dating you guys, but with the original, well, not the Spider-Man the animated series from the 90s, where they were telling chapter stories in these half-hour episodes. That's what you're getting with the stuff from Disney XD over here in America. I don't know what channel it airs on over in the UK. Probably like Sky or something like that, right?
We get a couple of channels like that in the kids slot, but I'm too tight to buy them on Sky because I spend enough money.
Yeah. But no, so I mean, yeah, these are, this is a great pick, and I forgot about it, and it was one of those, like, watching it because it came out around the same time that the Iron Man movie came out, and it was like the art style that was like, this is weird, but it's in a kind of similar art style to the Neil Patrick Harris Spider-Man animated TV series that was on MTV.
Yeah.
But it works. It honestly works. It's just, it was weird with how it was going, because this was at the end of Marvel licensing out to other networks. Like, also at this time there was the Superhero Squad show on now it's like Discovery Family and Health, but then it was the Hub, where we also had the Aquabat Super Show, which I miss horribly. But yeah, Darryl, thanks for that, and also for being here a lot longer than you had originally told us.
We knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. So my show, or no, well, actually not a show, it's an app, I've been saying this whole time. It's called This is from a UK-based gaming studio called Big Potato. They do board games over there, or board games. You might have seen games like Obama Llama or Mr. Lister's Quiz Shootout, or Chameleon is one of their newest ones. They do all these different fun party games, it's more party game style. And this game, it's an app. It's fully, you are just guessing. So this is the first. You can probably only see the picture, but you are guessing the celebrity, and his first name is Usain. So by that picture, who would you say this is?
Usain Thunderstorm.
Exactly.
I was going to go with Grant Gustin.
With Grant Gustin. But no, so you get these different letters at the bottom that you have to then fill in. It's a twist on that whole like Pictionary game, and actually I think there are a couple that are done by like where you can submit your own. I've gone through, like, there are movies, there's bands, fiction stuff. Like, okay, here, I'm gonna show you this, and I bet you won't guess the band.
No.
Four-letter band.
Oh,
Four-letter
yes.
band. Yep, there you go.
Duh, duh.
And I'm sitting here going, guessing. And it's
For the audio listeners, the first one was with Usain Bolt was a thundercloud, which a lightning bolt, and then this one was two people kissing, so therefore you get kiss. It's stuff like that, and there's hints that you can get. The cool part is there's no ads. This is a free game with no ads. Now you might be saying, well, how do they make money? They give you, and also I realized now that this is difficult. They give you 3 different unlockables, and I'm going to use the American currency here because it does not give it in pounds, but you can get 60 levels for $1, 260 levels for $2, or 260 levels and unlimited skips for $4. That I actually really like that idea of unlocking stuff as opposed to watch this ad and skip 30 minutes on something, or watch this ad and get a free piece of our currency that you normally have to pay for, and stuff like that. This seems more honest, in my opinion. I just gave them another plug right there.
That currency model that you're talking about. Have you seen the new Futurama game that came out?
I have heard of it, but I haven't played it.
It's just a reskinned Tapped Out, and that's all it is. And Family Guy did this, and Futurama did it, and it's you can watch ads and get a slice of pizza. But the model you're describing, like I play a game called 7 Little Words, and that is great because every day they give you a free puzzle, and if you miss a day, you can play up to the last 3 days, or you can buy these other packs of puzzles for like $1.99 for 100 puzzles, and they're just different themes. And so you can buy as much or as little as you want and don't have to deal with the ads. The only ads in there are for Blue Ox's other games.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, that's not really an ad. That's just that's something.
Hey, check out our other stuff.
Yeah. If you like this, you might like, our other stuff. So yeah, I'm with you. I like that model. I just went and downloaded that myself. So
yeah, the other one that I would recommend, because I haven't recommended enough British stuff today, is it's called Qikionary. It's from QI, and it's one of their games that, hold on, I'm gonna grab my phone to pull it up, but you guess 4-letter words and you get facts once you find the 4-letter words. Oh god, I've shared some on my Facebook thing. But the cool thing is there's not ads on there either. There are word packs. So you get, like, for example, for free, no money paid, easy, not so easy, Quite Hard, and then No Such Thing as a Fish, the podcast that this is all based off of, which is the podcast from the QI Elves, coming to you live from Covert Gardens. I listen to that podcast quite a bit. But then you get other packs, like, because they did a spin-off show that aired on the BBC called No Such Thing as the News, where you get some of their stuff in there. One that I might be downloading here is Sandy's General Ignorance. But you get all these other packs that you could pay for if you want. You do not have to pay for it. But here, I'll give you one. So example, knobs. So the word was knob that I got, and I did horrible. I was 6 over par. Did you know that doorknobs are illegal in Vancouver?
I did not know that.
True fact. But yeah, it's really cool. They have an all access pack thing, which, so instead of doing like you're buying them, you're getting a subscription thing. You can do a whole year for 10 pounds, and this one actually does use the British currency, so I could tell you that. Or you could do a month for 99. Darryl, what's under a pound? So it's
what's
like
under a pound? Pence.
Is it pence? Yeah. So for
Yeah.
99 pence, because it's the 0.99. I would say 99 cents here, but it's not, because it's the British pound sterling. But yeah, so it's really cool game. Another game, and I didn't mean to do 2 here, but I did.
I tried. I downloaded it. I got stuck on the second one because I don't know how to fuck to spell Justin Bieber's last name.
Bieber. I am right now. I am currently stuck on level 12 on
I don't have any desire to know how to spell Justin Bieber's last name. So.
Oh, I was like that too, but then I'm like, I think it's IE, but I mainly did that so I can get past. And the one I'm stuck on right now, and also the thing, when did I use another clue? You motherfucker. But you have the parts where you can use a clue, and it's Clippy from Microsoft Office.
Oh fuck.
But like, so the one I'm stuck on, and I'll show you guys because maybe you'll be able to help me out, or the viewers like Growly Bear. The clue is Jack Nicholson plays a PI. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 9-letter word.
Chinatown.
Motherfucker.
Welcome to the Let's Play podcast.
Yep. Join us next week where we play level 13.
Man, shortest podcast ever.
But no, yeah. So honestly, I recommend it because it's really good. It's a fun little game you can play when you're in the underground, when you're on, when you're riding in a car or whatever, when you're sitting somewhere bored, play it. It's, that and Qikionary, QI, and then dictionary with, Q in front of it are my 2 recommendations that I will give you. But yeah. And of course, because additional plug, because I said that's gonna do it for us. Before we go, big thanks again to Growly Bear and Brian Jensen for becoming partners with us by joining us at Patreon at the $3 level. Only $3 a month, I should add, not a week. Excuse me. Sorry, I meant to go away, but I didn't. Got a question for you. You got a little extra time on your hands? Do you want some experience as a social media manager? Well, we are looking for you. All you got to do is message us, email us at contact@gncasts.com, and we could pull you in here. We could use you. If you have the passion for community building, are into sci-fi, horror, gaming, comic books, the paranormal, and all those similar topics, Doctor Who, email us there at that link. I'm gonna remember to put this before, and like Galactic Nightcast has bills that needs to get paid, and the way we do that is through 2 different places. The first place is gncasts.com/support. Well, actually, we'll have both of them. The first one is Patreon, where for as little as $3 a month, you can get a shout out here. You can get a shout out on the podcasts. Golly Bear's gotten 2 in a row. That's also because he's awesome and he's in our chat room all the time when we are on the air. And also, word is on a grapevine. Don't know if I'm supposed to share the secret, but if you missed my comic book recommendations, if you donate at the $5 level, you might be getting those. Little enticing thing if you need some recommendations on comic books, because trust me, audio listeners will see, I will recommend you some comics. That'll be at the $5 level, and it's all monthly. You can find, or the other place that you can go to is the Amazon affiliate link. And doing that, you go through that. Any purchase you make on Amazon, you're taking money from Jeff Bezos, giving it to us, to where we can keep the lights on here in the studios. You can leave us contact. You can leave us any feedback you want by leaving us a voicemail at 805-328-3966, or you can email us mail@elsenerds.com. We read all of it. All of our subscription options and links can be found over at gncasts.com/subscribe. The Facebook page can be found at facebook.com/galacticnetcasts. The show and the network can both be found at ElseNerds or Galactic Netcasts. Producers, Beatmaster80, Evans at Mr_Fusion. Before I get to mine, Darryl, where can people find you again?
Oh no, my mic was on. Look at that. It's because I'm on 16% battery, which is why you don't get a video of me right now. You can find me WNAR_podcast or at UK Gnome. That's just keep it there and simple. Or and of course on gncasts.com/TARDIS.
Shawn, where can people find you?
At SBurnsPA on Twitter.
There we go. You can find me at that Gregor. You can find everything, all the comic book stuff that Corey is doing at Don't Ask Comics. The final thing that to be said before we begin the show, call back to earlier, is this has been a Don't Tell Glenn production. We will see you guys next week.
Or else.
Toodles.
For more on this Galactic Network podcast, go to gncast.com. That's GNCASTS.com.